Hello and warm greetings. Time to present you the latest English news from KHURSHID Global Network. Based on the reports released in a clash that happened nearly in the evening in between one of the sons of former defense minister of Afghanistan named Abdurrahim Wardak with security force of Afghanistan in Kabul city in 4th district of Kabul, and the result, one police killed and 5 others were wounded. The reports also added that the Interior Ministry officials stated in this clashes that happened in between the two sides that this man got one of the houses and claimed from his side, but that house belonged to someone else. And that's why, while the security forces were asked him to come out of the house and submit the house to the specific person that relates to him, he starts shooting on the security forces and the clashes happens. The further reports will be given further about this. Independent Election Commission of Afghanistan stated that the deadlock in the issue of Ghazni parliamentarian election is still not solved. But this institution insisted that they're getting readiness, a full getting readiness about the holding of the presidential election and also the parliamentarian election in both simultaneously as well. Meanwhile, a number of the activists and institutions who were observing the election from near expressed their concerns about the presidential election and about the election of Ghazni province. They stated that the residents of Ghazni province, or at least they deserve from this political right, and the election should be held in that province, but still the Independent Election Commission officials does not present a clear view about the parliamentarian election in Ghazni province and as well as about the presidential election in Afghanistan. Number of the activists and institutions and official high-ranking officials in Afghanistan say that the cost for the NATO allies countries are actually same as the exile from Afghanistan, and they may cost too much that is spent in Afghanistan. The high-ranking officials, and specifically the NATO chief, stated that being of the NATO organization in Afghanistan actually guarantee and may decrease the risk of the terrorist groups that are operating and the other risk of ISI that are operating too much in Afghanistan. So being of the NATO organization countries and forces would be too much useful in Afghanistan. These countries, once again, if they come out from Afghanistan, so this country would be a very good haven for the insurgent groups as well. In absence of them, there would be a lot of impact, and that would be negative for Afghan people in Afghanistan. They also insisted that the challenges are including the losses of military and residents and innocents in Afghanistan that the terrorist groups and the enemy and the foes are trying to put on the shoulder of Afghan people. But we believe that Afghan people are trying their best of efforts in helping and cooperating the government of Afghanistan, and they're trying to, as well in the peace negotiation talks, to come out in a consensus and become a good point for the solution of this issue in Afghanistan. One of the helicopters that is stated would belong to Army of Afghanistan is collapsed and called down in Kapisa province. Based on the reports released, one of the National Council members in Kapisa province stated that this helicopter belonged to the National Army Force of Afghanistan, and they came out and down because the commandos forces have a special operation. They stated as well that there would be some kind of technical issues with this helicopter and the commandos are trying to fix it up. But a number of the security forces in Kapisa as well did not give further information about this. Meanwhile, the Taliban claimed that this helicopter called down and collapsed due to our own operation. Reaching to a very short-term peace process in Afghanistan is not actually acceptable, and this may not have a positive impact on the future of Afghanistan. A number of the parliament members, while expressing their concerns, stated that the complexity of the intelligence work from the regional countries in Afghanistan is very questionable. They stated that the efforts that is going on for bringing a short-term peace process in Afghanistan is not having a full and a positive impact, and that is not acceptable for Afghan people. They stated that there should be a consensus, and that should be regional and international and the other countries for the peace process of Afghanistan, and there should be a political consensus in the peace trend that may cause for the solution of the tensions and problems in the war and fighting in Afghanistan, and may cooperate and help for the outlasting and a long-lasting peace process in Afghanistan, and may help and have a positive impact for future and long term. That was a brief information about the in and outside news. Thank you very much for being. Have a good night. Bye.